Welcome to session 2 of the unit on competency mapping. In the previous session, we had a detailed discussion on what is competency, iceberg model of competency, the difference between competence and competency, types of competencies, why competencies, and also had a brief discussion on competency mapping. In today's session, we'll have a detailed discussion on competency mapping approaches, process of competency mapping tools and technique, and application of competency mapping. Let's start with the definition of competency mapping. Competency mapping is a process of identifying key competencies for an organization and or a job and incorporating those competencies throughout the various processes of the organization, which is job evaluation, training, recruitment, performance management system, and so on. Competency mapping is also defined as a process of studying the job behavior of employees in order to identify the knowledge, skill, and personal attributes that result in superior performance. Once an organization has decided to implement competency mapping, it needs to adopt a competency mapping approach. There are 4 approaches to competency mapping, which includes top-down, bottom-up approach, beginning from the scratch approach, and adopting generic competency model approach. In a top-down approach, vision, mission, objectives, and strategic plan of the organization is studied. Competency requirements to attain vision, mission, goal, and plans are mapped, and then a long list of competencies for superior performance is generated through variety of data collection techniques from across various stakeholders. Competency mapped at organizational level is cascaded down to functional or departmental or group level. And subsequently, competencies identified at the departmental or group level are cascaded down to jobs and positions. In a bottom-up approach, key positions are identified for studying the competencies required for superior performance. These individual competencies are then consolidated at the level of work group and in some cases at the functional or departmental level in the second stage. In the final stage, competencies defined at position level and functional level are consolidated at organizational level. So this approach is also referred as grouping of the competencies. The next approach is beginning from the scratch approach. As the name suggests, in this approach, a company starts the process from the scratch instead of adopting the generic competency frameworks. In this approach, an organization has to formulate competency management objectives, plan the competency management process, develop competency identification and data collection tools, and map the competencies of target jobs. The last approach is adopting generic competency model approach. In this approach, an organization adopts a successful competency model that is developed and practiced in related organization with suitable modification and validations. Thus, the 4 approaches include top-down, bottom-up, beginning from the scratch approach, and adopting generic competency models approach. After having discussed the approaches, Let's discuss the steps in competency mapping. The steps in competency mapping include: first, identifying job to be mapped. We then go on to identify roles and responsibilities through job description. We then identify from superior performer the behavioral and functional aspects required to perform a given job or role in a superior manner. The next step is identification of key competencies required for superior performance. We then develop a comprehensive list of competencies with definitions of these competencies and behavioral descriptors. Identifying this set of behaviors that define a competency is very important. Behavioral indicators are also called behavioral descriptors or simply BI. The next step is identifying level of competencies or proficiency level for a job. Let me explain the fifth and sixth point with an example. Now, for example, a company has identified the following list of competencies, which include influencing others, integrity, interpersonal effectiveness, creativity, and resilience. So after identifying these competencies, the next step is defining the competencies. To give you an example, suppose we take the competency, the first competency, that is influencing others. So the organization needs to define what is influencing others so that everybody has the common understanding of the competency as to what does the competency mean, right? So influencing others could be defined as gaining support from others through influence, negotiation, and by forming alliances with other interested parties. Suppose an organization has defined influencing others in this manner, right? Now the next step is to identify behavioral indicators or descriptors. To take the same discussion forward, the behavioral descriptors for the competency influencing others could be: influences other through logical reasoning, develops influencing and negotiating strategies, builds influential alliances to stir business. These could be the behavioral descriptors for influencing others. Now the next step is to identify the level of proficiency. So the level of proficiency could be level 1, 2 or 3 in this case, to make you understand in a simple manner. So level 1 could be the lowest level and level 3 could be at the highest level, or an organization could name it basic level, intermediate level, or an advanced level. So for level 1, the descriptor is influences other through logical reasoning. Level 2 is develops influencing and negotiating strategies. And level 3 is builds influential alliances to stir business. Now, this could be taken forward in a way that, for example, influencing other is a competency that could be required at all levels: lower level, middle level, and at the senior most level, or senior management level. Now you need to identify that for the senior management level, what is the desired level of proficiency required. So we could say the desired level would be at level 3, which could be the behavioral indicator for level 3 is builds influential alliance to stir business. Right? So we could then come to a conclusion that for senior management level, for a competency like influencing others, the level is level 3. That talks about the desired level of proficiency. The next step in the competency mapping process is assessing competencies to measure the extent to which a given individual or group of individuals possess these competencies required for a given job role. So through this process of assessment, we identify what is the actual level of competency that a person possesses. In the previous step, we went on to identify the desired level. Over here, through assessment, we are able to identify the actual level of proficiency or the actual level of competency. We then go to map or match the desired with the actual level, and we get to understand or know about the gap in competency. After identifying the gap in competency, we go on to take appropriate action based on the very objective as to why is the competency mapping been done. In what areas of human resource processes it needs to be applied. So we develop an action plan, we implement it, we do a follow-up, and also what is very, very important is giving the feedback to the individual. So these are the steps in competency mapping. Moving on, let's discuss the tools and techniques of competency mapping. The various tools include assessment center, critical incident technique, interview, questionnaire, and psychometric tests. Let's spend some time understanding what is assessment center. An assessment center is a standardized procedure of evaluation that allows an individual to demonstrate behavior, skill, and knowledge through a series of exercises, situational and job simulation designed to measure dimensions or competencies required to deliver effective performance. It is used in a variety of HR decisions such as selection, training and development, performance management, career and succession planning, potential identification, and so on. In this method, there is a pooling of judgment that is carried through a statistical integration process. Assessment center consists of multiples. Multiple competencies are assessed. There are multiple observers to eliminate the subjectivity and increase the objectivity involved in the process. There are multiple participants, though the number is small and limited. Multiple exercises are conducted in the process, which could include role play, case analysis, presentation, and so on. There are multiple job simulations that is done of the kind which includes critical type of simulation or creative type of simulation, and there are multiple observations. Each observation is observed at least twice. The various exercises that are used in an assessment center include in-tray exercise or the in-basket exercise, interviews, leaderless group discussion, case study, presentation, business game, and also pen and paper exercises. For example, there is an organization which has identified the following attributes to be assessed through a assessment center. The attributes could be communication, planning and organizing, teamwork, management control, initiativeness, decision making. So to measure, so we can say multiple competencies are being measured. Now to measure these competencies, we need to design and develop various kinds of tools or tests, which could be in basket, could be case study, could be through personal discussion, could be through leaderless group discussion, could be group discussion with assigned role. So there are multiple competencies and there are multiple tests or tools that are used or exercises that are used to assess this multiple competencies. At the same time, there are multiple assessors who are trained, who have a behavioral expertise. So they would be then assessing your competencies. So each competency is assessed twice or more than, so we say multiple observation. Again, ranking is given to the level of competencies. Ranking could be from 1 to 5 for an example, and at one level, which is the lowest level, to the 5th level, what does this level mean? For example, our organization could have level from 1 to 5. So the 1 could be at the lowest level and 5 could be at the highest level. So 1 would mean exhibits behavior that greatly limits managerial effectiveness. 2 could be exhibits behavior that limit managerial effectiveness. Or 3, which can be defined as exhibits behavior that meets managerial effectiveness. So 3 is, in this case, is the average level or the minimally accepted level of performance. The level 4 could be exhibits behavior that exceeds manager effectiveness, and the 5th could be exhibits behavior that greatly exceeds managerial or manager's effectiveness. Rating of the competencies is done in the process of assessment. Since there are multiple assessors, at the end there is a integration of the assessments that is given by multiple assessors. Again, a very important aspect of the assessment center is the feedback. Feedback is an integral part of assessment center. The candidates or the participants are made aware of their observed behavior in a controlled circumstances and how they measured up to the set of competencies which are relevant to the organization. Feedback is given in 2 parts. The organization receives feedback about the competency of the people, and the participants receive feedback on his or her performance in the assessment center. Another popular tool is the critical incident technique. In this technique, observers are asked to describe incidents of effective and ineffective behavior over a period of time. Describing occasions when the job holder did something well or when the performance was poor. This is a particularly effective technique in a competency mapping since it gives an idea about the person-oriented characteristics such as those competencies which are needed in a person to perform a job well. In simple terms, it means eliciting data about effective or less effective behavior that is related to examples of actual events, that is critical incidents. Steps involved in critical incident technique include data gathering, content analysis, and feedback. Data can be gathered through an open-ended questionnaire. The approach could be unstructured approach or could be a moderate structured approach. In an unstructured approach, for example, an individual could be asked to write 2 good things or 2 bad things that happened when they were carrying out an activity. Whereas in a moderate unstructured approach, individual is asked to respond to questions relating to what happened when he or she was carrying out an activity under the following heads. The first could be, what were the circumstances in which the person was carrying out an activity? What did the person do? And what was the outcome of what the person had done? After the information is recorded, it is then analyzed. Each incident is analyzed via rating that is given to all recorded behavior on a scale of 1 to 5, where 1 is least effective behavior and 5 is the most effective behavior. These ratings are further discussed to get initial definitions of effective and ineffective performance for each of the key result areas. The final analysis is then carried out, wherein a list of competencies required is identified with performance indicators or standard of performance. The next technique is interview. Almost every organization uses an interview in some form or the other as part of competency mapping. This method begins with a list of competencies drawn by experts and subjecting a number of job holders to a structured interview. The basic question is, what are the positive and negative indicators of behavior that are conducive or non-conducive to achieving higher level of performance? The step involved includes identifying interviewers, training them, and deciding the interviewees, developing the interview formats and guidelines, implementing the interview through a schedule, group meeting of the interviewer, and submission of an interview report on competency identified for each job or job family. The next tool is questionnaire method. Open or close-ended questionnaire is administered on group of identified employees with an objective to gather large-scale information on competencies. This method is useful when the data is to be collected from a large group of respondents. The commonly used questionnaires are Common Metric Questionnaire or the CMQ, Functional Job Analysis Questionnaire, Multiple Purpose Occupational System Analysis Inventory, Occupational Analysis Inventory, Position Analysis Questionnaire, and Work Profiling System Questionnaire. So these are some questionnaires and an organization could use any one of these. The next tool is psychometric tests. Psychometric means mental measurement. The purpose of using a psychometric test is to provide an objective means of measuring individual capabilities or characteristics. They are used to enable selectors to gain a greater understanding of individuals so that they can predict the extent to which they will be successful in a job. The two broad categories include aptitude test and achievement test. After having discussed the various tools of competency mapping, let's discuss the application of competency mapping. Competency mapping is applied to various HR processes to make it much more effective. Some of them include recruitment and selection, performance management, learning and development, succession and career plan. Competency mapping is used in the area of recruitment and selection to enhance the overall effectiveness of the process. The very idea is that a better fit between job requirements and job holder expectations will lead to higher job performance. So the steps involved in a competency-based recruitment and selection process include developing job or role competency profile, The competencies defined for a role are used as the framework for recruitment and selection. Selection templates is designed based on specific competency levels that predicts threshold and superior performance. The second step is select or develop assessment methods. Basis of selection for a wide variety of methods such as psychological testing, assessment center, behavioral interview, simulations, and many more include cost effectiveness, administrative ease, and candidates' acceptability. Thus, a competency approach can help to identify which selection technique are most likely to produce useful evidences. In assessment center, for example, competency framework are used to define competency dimensions that distinguish high performance. The third step is training of assessors. The fourth step include assessment of the competencies of the candidate for the job. And the final is making a job person match decision. The next process is performance management. When we talk about performance, we are actually talking about two dimensions. One is achieving business results and the second is developing individual competencies. A competency-based performance management focuses on how of performance and not on what of performance. That is, it focuses not on results but how the result is achieved. That is, performance reviews do not simply focus on outcomes but also consider the behavioral aspects of how the work was carried out. Thus, it does not only focuses on KRAs but also on technical and behavioral competencies required to perform the job successfully. Competencies are jointly assessed by individual and their superior. Deciding competencies to be assessed and selecting most relevant competencies to the role is also done jointly. It also helps an organization in potential identification, learning and development initiatives, and also in individual development plans. The next HR process where competency mapping is applied is learning and development. Role profiles can be used as the basis for assessing the levels of competency achieved by individuals and thus identifying their learning and development needs. Assessment Center also provides job holder and organizations with concrete data on the improvement areas, which can be utilized for training. Competency gap between desired level of competency to actual level of competency can be used to design individual development plans. Competencies are also used in Development Center, which helps participants build up their understanding of the competencies they require now and in the future so that they can plan their own self-directed learning program. The other area where competency mapping is applied is career and succession planning. Employees can match their level of proficiency with the proficiency requirement of various jobs. Based on the match, employees can apply for future progression. A combination of the employee's performance analysis and competency assessment would help HR in identifying potential successors for the key position in the organization. Thus, it is obvious that competency mapping is applied to a number of HR processes to make them effective, be it recruitment and selection, performance management, learning and development, or career and succession planning. With this, we come to an end of this unit on competency mapping. I'll meet you again with another contemporary HR practice. Thank you.